Girls with an awkward or introverted boyfriend or husband, how did he approach you? Viewers Edition. Story 1. I went to deliver lunch with my weird and inappropriate attention-seeking aunt at my uncle's workplace. I was still a little underage at this time. This young guy held open the door for us as we entered, and our gazes locked, and we did the proverbial zing thing that they say happens. Just an instant, hey there, baby, moment between us without saying a word. We went in. A lot of guys and no girls, but me and my aunt were in the break room. I was getting a lot of stares that made me feel awkward. Everyone left and headed out to show my aunt around the place, at her insistence, but me and this guy decided to stay in the break room. He looked like a deer caught in the headlights at being left alone with me. He sat there awkwardly and didn't say anything, as I filled the awkward silence, chattering at him about my uncle and this particular job building, just random stuff that I could come up with, because I couldn't sit just staring at each other in silence, too uncomfortable. Then everyone came back into the room. I made the comment that it was good that they came back because this one talked my ear off, saying in jest, and he nervously chuckled. Anyway, we left, and I didn't think anything else about it. Couple days later, my aunt called me saying that guy wanted to ask me out to a concert and needed my number, and she was calling to ask if it was okay to give it to him. I said yes, and we went out. This time he talked a lot more, or at all, and we walked along the waterfront for a couple hours talking and then sat on a bench looking at the water. We've been inseparable ever since for 27 years. And why were all the guys in the break room? Because my totally inappropriate, gross aunt told them that I had big hooters, and they all came in to stare at them. Why she did that, I'll never know. But hey, it got me my boob man husband and our 2 kids, so I guess that I shouldn't complain. But I will throw a little shade at the all much older men who came in to ogle at my chest and were openly leering at me and being a bit too insinuating in their talk to me. I had just turned 17, just started senior year of high school. I suppose that was my aunt's doing, as she was the one who brought up my body in the weirdest twist of conversation ever. I don't know what her deal was, because she has big knockers too. They run in the family, so why broadcast it? Anyway, once husband admitted that part, I was like, what the frick, aunt? Why? She was like, hey, you got a date, didn't you? You should be thanking me. Story 2. I'm a huge gaming nerd. I'm very quiet around people I don't know, since I have no idea what topic to bring up. I met my wife at a party. She approached me as I was playing a game. She asked me a lot of questions about the game. She actually already knew a lot of the answers, but was just gauging if what our friend Broody said about me was true. When asked if I was shy because people would notice I was quiet, his go-to answer was, he won't talk to you if he doesn't know you. The trick isn't getting him to start talking, it's getting him to shut up after you get him going. My wife quickly found out Broody was right. I geeked out and started yapping away about the different roles and playstyles one could use playing the game. We became friends and stayed that way for 5 years. It was 3 years into our friendship when I first started flirting with her. I would take it easy when playing against her, bring her food when she said she was hungry. If I asked the group what food they'd like me to bring and everyone said pizza and she said pasta, I'd get pasta. At one point I even intruded on her at a home movie date. My friends had asked me to join them in a card game session. I got out of work and went over. My friends were in the dining room. My wife, then just a friend, was in the living room with a guy watching a movie. Well, I had walked in through the side kitchen door, walked into the dining room, and put down my stuff. My friends were in the middle of a game, and I said I would wait until they finished. No need to stop their game to add me. I heard the sound coming from a living room. I walked over and said hi to Rox, my wife, and the guy I didn't know. I asked what they were watching. It was a Harry Potter movie. I said, cool, I want to watch too, and sat down between them. I am socially inept and didn't read the room. I ended up falling asleep onto Rox's shoulder. The guy awkwardly excused himself after the movie when he noticed me asleep on Rox. She keeps telling everyone this part of the story and finds it hilarious that I dong-blocked her date. She finally decided to ask me out when a small group of us were eating at Wingstop. Our friends kept telling her that unless she asks first, I'm never going to, since I'm that stupid when it comes to social skills. Story 3. A friend asked if I was interested in helping to set up a writers group. About 10 of us went to that first meeting. One of the other people at the meeting was Kylie, who I assumed was out of my league. An articulate and confident-sounding organizer who was a manager earning nearly double my salary. Over the years, we both attended most of the group's meetings, so we got to know a bit about each other. About 5 years after the group started, someone suggested a movie night. Several people accepted, including Kylie and me, but in the end, everyone else pulled out for various reasons, leaving only Kylie and me. We agreed to meet for dinner before the movie. We had plenty to talk about at the dinner, and then enjoyed the movie. I drove her to her place, and we had a bit of a pash before I went back to my place. The next day, I texted her to say I enjoyed the night out and would like to meet up again. She asked me what I was doing that weekend, which was a long weekend. I said I'd be interstate at a War Games event, nerdy me. When I said where, she said she was going to be there on Sunday to catch up with friends. I took a chance and asked if she'd like to stay with me on Sunday night at the hotel I was staying at. She said yes. I've got to say, it was much easier asking that in a text message than saying it to her face. Anyway, that Sunday night, she came to my room. There were 2 beds in the room, and I had no expectations of what might happen. We talked for a little while about how our weekends had been, and then leaned in for a kiss. And that was it. Less than 15 minutes later, we were both undressed and, at it. The next morning, we went our separate ways for the day, then met up again in the afternoon to drive back home. That drive was 3 hours of uninterrupted chat time, where we really got to know each other. 7 months later, I proposed to her, and we were married 3 months after that. We celebrated our 17th anniversary a few months ago, and have 3 kids. For me, the key thing about our relationship was that we got to know each other in the context of an activity we both liked, being members of the writing group. That meant we knew we had a significant interest in common. A few other values and interests in common sealed the deal. And yes, my only serious relationship. Story 4. So, as per the internet tradition, not a girl, but I used to play guitar by the campfire at the youth center. Basically view it like a teen to adolescent weekend creche you pay a small fee entry for. Girl that apparently was into me asked for my guitar. I gave her my guitar and walked off to get wasted with a bottle of Berenberg a friend had snuck inside his coat. That's pretty much the first contact. I'm still oblivious she's even remotely into me at this point. I'm just a guy with a guitar that really likes getting wasted on a Friday night. When she threw a movie night, I thought she was kinda cute, so I wanted to attend. Turns out I already had a visit at my sister's place that day, and since I'm lucky to see her once every 3 or 4 years, I decided that was more important at the time. A year later, a mutual friend had his birthday. My best friend would tell me she's kind of a clingy weirdo. Me knowing how he views girls distilled the fact that she's basically just the kind of girl that will actually stay with me for a change. So aside from being pretty cute now, she also seemed like a suitable partner. She was drunk and high. I was drunk and high. She started swearing at my best friend, and I was like, oh man, you look drunk. Must be uncomfortable to be standing while swearing at him, so I offered her to come sit in my lap while doing it. Note, my best friend is my best friend exactly because this kind of stuff is considered accepted behavior. That's pretty much how we knew we were into each other, and not just 2 people individually having a crush. A week later at my internship, I got a text from her phone, though sent by her best friend because she couldn't herself, whether or not I wanted to be in a relationship with her. To this day, we still joke about how I'm technically her friend's boyfriend, since she's the one that asked me. But anyway, it's over 10 years later, and when I had a cardiac arrest, she actually resuscitated me. Marry yourselves a nurse, boys. So we've got the till death do us part behind us early. I mean, not the most romantic story, and we don't know what the frick we'll ever tell our children one day, but I think she's a keeper, guys. Story 5. I want to talk about my current boyfriend. I knew him for a few months. He was very shy, but also very nice to me. When we met the first 2 times, I was still in a relationship, but I broke up with her in August due to other reasons. I wanted to get to know him because he seemed nice and I thought he might be my type. When we met for the 3rd time, we were at a birthday party. I got to know him better because he drank a lot and started talking more. I told him I was playing the computer game Stardew Valley and that he should text me if he wanted to play something together sometime. I also invited him to a party I was having on January 2nd. The day after the birthday, he told me he had brought Stardew Valley so that we could play together. We played a few times, and I realized that he was actually very funny and smart. He came to my party at some point, and I was very loving to the people there, meaning that I wanted to kiss almost everybody. I asked him if it was okay if I kissed him, because he never kissed anyone, and it would be his first time. He said only if it's not just because you're high. I was very excited because I started to like him, and I told him I was kind of crushing on him too. Well, we kissed and started talking. I found out he was crushing on me since he met me the first time. After that, we saw each other almost every day, and now we are actually in a relationship. He is a cutie, and I hope we will create some loving memories. Sorry, by the way, if my grammar or spelling is bad. I'm from Germany. Story 6. Introvert here. I had a girlfriend back in high school. Long story short, she cheated on me with my ex-best friend. We were best friends for 6 years, until that happened. The story has more details, but if you want to know more about it, you can ask. Some years later, I had a long-distance relationship for 2 years, but she started to be less and less caring. She even forgot my birthday. At the same time, a girl was really in love with me, but I was already in a relationship with my long-distance girlfriend. The thing is that I didn't want to tell anyone about it because I was really sure that no one would support me. Again, long story short, when I broke up with my long-distance ex and felt like a whole idiot for staying in a crappy relationship and not with the girl that actually loves me, I tried to approach to her, and long story short again, I'm so sorry, she turned out to be pretty toxic, so it was a no. I knew a couple of girls and kept talking for some time until I felt sure enough that they were comfortable around me and that we both had a good time together. As soon as I asked to see each other to have fun or whatever, both of them ghosted me, giving me the craziest reasons, like, "We're going too fast, bro." A friend of mine recommended me to use Tinder. It was a bad experience, and I wouldn't try it again. Now I'm here on my bed, just working and sleeping, hating myself every day, and giving up dating, losing the ability to feel attracted to someone. Oh, ouch. To this person, just remember this too shall pass, and you can't give up on love. Story 7. My husband is introverted, but I am as well. However, he still approaches me. We went to a Christian college, and we had chapel every weekend at 10 that you were required to go to unless you were given an exclusion. Needed to go eat lunch at the cafeteria, as you had classes during the entire lunchtime, student teaching, nursing rotations, etc. I was originally sitting with my roommate, who then went to go sit with some other friends, leaving me by myself. I was used to it, introvert, remember. Suddenly, I heard a voice to my left ask, "Is anyone sitting here?" I look over and see a guy I was vaguely familiar with, as he was part of my roommate's big friend group. I shyly said, "No." He smiled and asked, "Do you mind if I sit with you?" I nodded, and he sat down next to me and reintroduced himself, and we started making small chats until chapel started. That day led to sitting together in chapel every day, to daily meals at the cafeteria together, to our first date seeing Thor 2, to him asking me to be his girlfriend, to graduating and doing a long-distance relationship for almost a year until he moves down to the state I was living in, to proposing to me after dating for 2.5 years. We've now been married for 5.5 years and just had our first baby a few months ago. I am so thankful that he saw a shy girl sitting by herself and decided to approach and sit down next to her to keep her company. Story 8. The guy in the first story isn't even introverted or shy and awkward. He's a freaking leech, a loser, someone with this pathetic, defeatist attitude. He seems like Jerry from Rick and Morty, constantly plays the sad sack loser, but that is actually his way of being a predator and making everyone feel sad about himself and just draining people of their emotional energy and being a freaking sap and loving the pity party he probably gets. Ticks me the frick off. He acts like he is so grateful she's still around and loves him, but in reality he doesn't appreciate her, or in 7+ years you would have tried to change just how pathetic you sound. But you don't. You revel in it. You bask in it. It's who you are, and she just might be an enabler and someone who enjoys being your crutch because you're so pathetic. But that's probably not it. She's probably someone who's just way too good for you. Too kind, too sweet, too caring, too giving, and you just take and take and take, you freaking pathetic leech. If you were truly appreciative and loving of her, you'd change your ways, your mindset, the way you are in general, especially over 7 years. And you recognize you take advantage of her, which only makes you more of a sad sack of poop. She probably does unknowingly enable you by being so kind and taking advantage of her, but she's doing it by mistake. You predator, no, you know what you're doing and exactly how you're doing it. You make me freaking sick. Story 9. Oh, dang. I'm sorry to hear that. I feel like for next time you shouldn't be so quick to spend money on her like that. She has to earn it. In my opinion, I usually never have issues with them. Maybe it's because of how I be testing them when I'm in a relationship with them. I don't ever start buying them anything until I feel they deserve it through their actions. I never go overboard either with the spending, and it wouldn't matter because they would be understanding of it and stay with it. I'm not saying this to flex at all. I don't really care for the flex. I'm just saying this because maybe, just maybe, it can help you out, especially after the bad experience you told me. I get your frustrations. It can be rough. But if I were in your shoes, I wouldn't completely give up, honestly. I would just look at where it went wrong and think, yo, what the frick am I actually supposed to do? So they won't walk over me like this anymore. And bam, now you're on track of developing on a strong mentality on that area of field. Because that's the ring. Women are able to walk all over you, easily. They have the skill set for that. A regular average man stands no chance. That's why your mentality cannot be that of an average man. You gotta develop it further. They can't mess with dudes who have a stronger mentality. They can only just hope to keep up. That's how I see it, to be honest. Story 10. I'm usually not great at meeting people, but the night I met my wife was the best way I've ever met anyone. I was at an anime convention in Seattle with a friend. We were staying at different hotels, and we were walking back to my friend's room to grab something. When we got to the room, he opened the door and we walked in. There was a girl standing on the far bed from the door. She looks at me and says, "Hey, who's the cute one?" Something deep down in my soul woke up, and I mustered all of the confidence I could and dove across the room. "Hi, my name is Shriggity." We talked for a brief moment, and her friend drugged her for dinner, and my friend drugged me back to the convention. Oh, actually, in this context, drugged means dragged, not actually drugged. We spent the next couple hours with our mutual friends asking about each other. My friend decided he was tired, so we went back to his room and played some card games. We were there no more than 20 minutes when she came back. We talked and talked until 5 a.m. We spent the rest of the weekend inseparable. After the convention was over, we both went home. But I got a call to meet her at the theater to see V for Vendetta. This was March 24th, 2006. We've been together ever since. Story 11. No, that's the problem with y'all, always making excuses, saying other people can be this or that, instead of toughening up and making that your strength. The whole point about maneuvering successfully in life is to just worry about what you can control, such as your own health, goals, hobbies, productivity, etc. You can even control how you behave to set out a good example. That's how I handle it, and you just leave it at that. You can't control how others will act towards you, and you shouldn't give a poop either. That's them, their actions. As long as they aren't trying to physically harm you, then don't even worry about them. So, yeah, you should have thick skin, because at the end of the day, people are going to be buttholes regardless. You can either cry about it and stay a victim, or you can develop thick skin and overcome another obstacle that was probably holding you back this whole time on a social level without you even realizing. And I'm not trying to be a butthole. This is actually me being helpful as frick, but you take it how you want. If you don't like them, you don't have to deal with them. Just don't make such a big deal about it, because that will get you nowhere. Story 12. Well, I can tell you 3. The male lineage of my family has all been incredibly awkward. My grandfather got my grandmother by becoming so blind drunk, he was found under a table at a party with a bottle of whiskey in either hand, apparently still conscious. The father of the bride was so impressed, he gave his blessing. My father, born and raised in the UK, had a best friend who was getting married. He knew the bride and groom both very well. He was to be the best man. My mother was his best friend's cousin from Canada. The story goes that my dad got blackout drunk and slept on the couch. My mother came downstairs and jumped his virgin bones. He still swears if he hadn't been drunk, he'd have passed away of a heart attack. I got my wife by telling her I loved her shortly after we met online and having her reject me as she had a boyfriend. We remained friends and grew closer and closer. After 6 years of trying to convince her to date me, she said yes and left her butthole boyfriend. Took me another 8 to ask her to marry me, and it'll be 5 years of marriage next month. Story 13. Pretty sure my sister set me up. Dad's a doctor, and I was always pressured into getting my life together before anything else. So I was working full-time and doing college full-time and had literally no time to sleep or to myself. Over Christmas break when I was 21, my sister invited her pretty redhead flower child best friend, I've known her all my life, and even though she was 18, I still viewed her as a kid until she forced me to think otherwise. I didn't notice that she was flirting with me at all, but looking back, it was painfully obvious. I had just conditioned myself into believing women wouldn't be interested in me until I was financially successful. Came to a head on Christmas when I took my sister and her friend to the gas station for snacks, and when we got back, it was raining lightly. She asked me to carry her to the house so she wouldn't get her shoes wet, and while I was packing her, she kissed me and looked like a wounded puppy when I seemed confused. Been married 11 years with 3 kids now. Story 14. Gonna answer for me and my girlfriend here. We were both awkward as heck. We met in a mental hospital, but of course didn't start dating until after. Therapy comes first, you know. Her first comment basically was, "I like your choice of color." I was wearing all black, just like her, since we were both horribly awkward teenage goths. She basically just stuck to me the entire time, because she didn't have anyone else to talk to, and I was so oblivious. Probably because, at the time, I didn't think anyone would be attracted to me. I was a short, nerdy goth with an acne problem, and basically just hanging around, reading or drawing all day. Well, sometime after we were both out of the clinic, she comes over to my place, we watched some anime, and basically started cuddling. Me soon spooning her. After a while, she was like, "That doesn't seem like just friends anymore." She was right. We've been together for 1.5 years now, and she was by my side through so much crap. I couldn't ask for a better partner. She's my soulmate. Please leave your stories in the comments. I'd love to make a video of them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.